Bimwilli and the Zimwi by Verna Ardema, pictures by Susan Meadow. One morning, when the mist was still pink from the sunrise, 3 sisters set out from a Swahili village to go play by the sea. The path to the sea was long, and though the 2 older girls had just walked it often, this was the first time for the little sister Bimwilli. The big girls had not wanted to take her. Titi said, "Mama, Bimwilli is too little to go so far." And Tasha added, "Something is sure to happen to her." But Mama Hawa said, "If you do not take Bimwilli, you may not go either." So Bimwilli got to tag along behind her big sisters. The path led them through the jungles vibrant with the morning songs of birds and swamps, noisy with the whir, whir, whir of frogs. Finally, they reached the sea, huge breakers rolling in. She whoosh, she whoosh. The 2 older girls waded in and began diving through the waves, while Bimwilli played at the water's edge. She would follow the backwash when the run back with the next wave toppling at her heels. Suddenly, something that looked like a daytime moon came rolling in with the wave, and it tumbled at Bimwilli's feet. "Aye!" she cried. "A shell! It's mine!" Bimwilli sat on a nearby rock to examine it. She ran her fingers around the bumpy ridge that spiraled to a peak. She held the smooth open side of it to her cheek. Then, to her surprise, she heard a soft shh, like the sound of the sea. Coming from inside it, she made up a song that sang over and over. "I have a shell from out of the sea, a shell the big wave gave to me. It's pink inside like the sunset sky, and in you hear it, the ocean sigh." After a while, Bimwilli put down the shell and went back to playing in the water. When the sun was straight up in the sky, the girls set out for home. They had not gone far when Bimwilli cried, "My shell! I forgot it! We must go back and get it." Tasha said, "Bimwilli, I knew you would be a bother." And Titi said, "Next time we come, we will find your shell again." But Bimwilli insisted on going back at once, and they let her go all by herself. Alone on the path, she was afraid, so she sang, "I have a shell from out of the sea, a shell a big wave gave to me. It's pink inside like the sunset sky, and in you hear it, the ocean sigh." Bimwilli was singing when she reached the beach, and there, sitting on the rock where she had left her shell, was an ugly old Zimwi. His face was creased like the shrunken ground, and his long arms dangled down to the sides of the rock. When he saw Bimwilli, his wrinkles crinkled into a smile. He greeted her. "Jambo, little girl, how sweetly you sing." "Jambo," said Bimwilli hesitantly, I want my shell that is beside you." "Sing for me first," said Zimwi. Bimwilli began in a scared little voice. I have a shell from out of the sea." "No, no, no," cried the Zimwi. "I can't hear you. Come closer and sing louder." Bimwilli obeyed, but the Zimwi said he still could not hear her. He made her sing over and over, each time coming closer. At last, she was so near, he flung out his long arms and caught her. "Grum, now I have you, my little singer," he cried. "Mama, mama, mama," screamed Bimwilli as the Zimwi stuffed her into a big drum that he had beside him. Then he threw in the shell and fastened the drum head in place. Bimwilli's crying gradually turned into sniffling. "Now," said the Zimwi, "I have the only singing drum in the world. I shall be famous, and when I beat the drum, you, my little singer, will sing your song." Then he picked up the drum and set down a path. Soon he came to a scatter of huts under some coconut trees. He went to the baraza, the meeting place. He said to the men there, "Gather the people together. I have a drum that can sing. Not gum, gum, gum. It sings a beautiful song. Cook me a meal, and I shall entertain you." While the food was being prepared, the Zimwi beat the drum, and a sad little voice inside it sang the song of the shell. The people were delighted. They let the Zimwi eat all he wanted. Then he took up the drum and set out for the next town. Meanwhile, the older girls arrived home. "Where's Bimwilli?" cried Mama Hawa. They had to admit that they had let her return to the beach all by herself. "Go back!" cried their mother. "How could you leave that little girl all alone on the path?" The girls hurried back down the path. They ran, walked. At last, they reached the sea. The tide was out. The beach was wide and bare. The only living things were the sand crabs skittering sideways. Googa, googa, googa. The girls were terrified. Something bad had happened to Bimwilli, and it was their fault. When Titi and Tasha returned home without Bimwilli, the whole village gathered under the mango tree. Their father, Hamasi, organized a search. It was evening, so the men set out with the torches. They searched all night, and for many days after that. At last, they gave up. During this time, Bimwilli was traveling with the Zimwi. It was uncomfortable living in the drum by day and sleeping on the scruffy mats of guest huts at night. She ate the food from the jungle, bananas, coconut meat, coconut milk, and each night her going to sleep song was the shh of the sea in her shell. Bimwilli's only duty was to sing. She became bored with singing the same thing over and over, so sometimes she changed the words, and the Zimwi did not seem to notice. After many days, it happened that the Zimwi carried the drum into a village that circled a mango tree. He went to the baraza and said to the men, "Gather the people together. I have a drum that can sing. Not gum, gum, gum. It sings a beautiful song. Cook me a meal, and I shall entertain you." As the food was being prepared, one of the women asked, "Bawana Zimwi, do you want fish or fowl with your rice?" Inside the drum, Bimwilli caught her breath. That was her mother's voice. This was her own village. When the Zimwi beat the drum, she sang, "I have a shell from out to the sea, a shell the Zimwi stole from me. It's dark in here like the midnight sky. If you listen, you'll hear Bimwilli sigh." Now Mama Hawa was stirring a kettle. She did not hear the song, but Titi and Tasha heard. They gasped with delight. They hurried to their mother and whispered, it's Bimwilli, singing in the drum." So when Zimwi was about to eat, Mama Hawa gave him a water pot and said, "Here, go to the river yonder and fetch us some water." And while Zimwi was gone, Bimwilli's father, Hamasi, opened the drum. There was his little girl, all curled up inside it, holding her shell. He lifted her out and put her into the arms of her mother. With tears of joy, Mama Hawa carried her to their own hut. There, Titi and Tasha hugged Bimwilli, and together the three sisters giggled over the happy ending to their strange adventure. Meanwhile, Hamasi scooped sand into the drum and put the top back on it. Now, after the Zimwi had eaten, Hamasi said, "Play for us, one more before you go." The Zimwi began to beat the drum. No song came from it. "Sing, drum, sing," he scolded, but the drum would not sing. The people laughed. Chit. They laughed so hard they doubled over and slapped their thighs. And Zimwi took his drum and hastily left. When he had gone a little way, he said, "Little girl, why didn't you sing for me?" No one answered from inside the drum. Angrily, the Zimwi tore off the drumhead. "Allah!" he bellowed, as he saw how he'd been tricked. Then, "Papo! Hapo!" He turned the drum into a pumpkin vine and himself into a huge, all-devouring pumpkin. The next day, the three sisters set out down the path to look for food. When they saw the pumpkin, Bimwilli cried, "Ooh, let's pluck it for Mother." The pumpkin said, "There you are, my little singer, I'll pluck you." And he came rolling after Bimwilli. Balloon, balloon, balloon. Titi and Tasha each grabbed one of Bimwilli's hands. They ran headlong with her back to the village, to the baraza where Hamasi and some other men were sitting. "Hide us," they cried. "The Zimwi has turned into a pumpkin and he's chasing us." The men hurried the girls into the council hut. Soon, the big pumpkin came rolling in. "Have you seen my people?" he asked. Hamasi said, "Are your people pumpkins?" The pumpkin growled, "They're in that hut. I see their tracks." And he scrambled towards the doorway. "Aye!" cried Hamasi as he leaped between. Then, kawhack! The Zimwi turned from a pumpkin into a seagull, and he flew away. Over the jungles, over the swamps, back to the beach he flew. He alighted on the rock where he had caught Bimwilli. And there, the Zimwi changed back to his usual self. His long arms dangled down the sides of the rock. His wrinkled face crinkled into a smile as he said farewell. "Kawahiri, my little singer." That evening at moonrise, the people of the village gathered inside a circle of fires and told tales, and little Bimwilli had a story to tell and a shell to show. To the people, the shell was amazing. They passed it from one to another, holding it to their ears, and one by one they listened to the mysterious whisper of the sea. "Shh!